Good afternoon, matriculants, and welcome to another Get Real section right here on the show. And remember, we tell you about the things that you learn in class and how they relate to every other thing in the world. And today I'm going to talk about a scientist who was actually taking 3 enzymes and measuring how they reacted to 3 levels of different pH levels, okay? So I'm going to go straight to my table. As you can see on your screen, it says right there, rate of enzyme activity in grams per minute and pH level up to 10, okay? Now, the first step to drawing your graph, obviously you have to have your x-axis on a large sheet of paper and your y-axis, and it would look like that on your screen, right? And the second step is to take your variables, your 2 variables, and here we have the pH levels, and number 2, we also have the enzyme activity. So you take those and you determine which one goes onto which axis. Now remember, it's important to note that the dependent variable goes to your y-axis and the independent variable goes to your x-axis, right? So there you have your rate of enzyme activity on your y-axis because that's the dependent variable, and your pH level right there at your x-axis. Now, the other step that you have to remember that you have to include your units. It's important because it also counts for marks, okay? After you've done that, you can see that rate of enzyme activity is actually in grams per minute. That's your unit, okay? Moving on. Third step, put a scale on your axis. And how you can do this is that you can look at your variables on your table to actually determine how they have to supersede one another. So you can see that I've used on my y-axis, they actually supersede one another on a scale of 20. And your pH level, because it's not that high, you can just make it a single digit. It's fine, okay? The next step, remember, you have to have a suitable heading because your heading also counts for marks. And remember that your heading must also include all the variables that you're talking about. Now, you plot your points carefully on your table. That's the fourth step. And the fifth step, once you've plotted these on a line graph, you join the points with a smooth line. It must be a smooth curve because neatness also counts for your marks. It must be easy for the examiner to be able to mark your graph, okay? Now, the other one is to plot the other 2 lines because remember, we're talking about 3 different enzymes. So this means that it's 3 different graphs. So remember that it's also important to create a key so that the examiner might know what is where in your graph. So you can see all your information there that you started with on your table. So after all this is how your graph is going to look like. So obviously I'm not the greatest of artists because I'm working on a webcam. So you can just do that as accurately as you can, but pretty much this is how it's going to look at. So let's just recap a bit. The graph will be marked by the following procedure. Did you select the correct axis? Yes. Are your axes labeled with units? Yes. Are the points accurately plotted? Is the curve neat and nice? Yes. Do you have your key for your graph? Yes. Is there a heading that reflects both variables for the graph? Yes. And if you've answered yes to all of them, congratulations, you've successfully drawn a graph.